first of all, just in friendship, but then also just being a good person to connect with on business, to be able to bounce ideas off of. So, for those of you guys who may not know who Frank is, he is, he moving on to do a number of collaborations, with Jordan, Adidas, a ton of other artists like Wale, who he's worked with over the years, Travis Scott. Frank, what's good, bro? Go ahead and request, and we'll get you locked in. So, yeah, man, it's going to be a real good conversation for anyone who may be a sneaker enthusiast or just an enthusiast of fashion and culture. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be a great conversation today. Let's see.
Here we go.
Frank.
What up?
I'm good, bro. Yeah, man, I see you got that quarantine shave going on.
You know what I'm saying? Just trying to be a non-COVID cooker.
I can dig it, man. I can dig it, man. What you sipping on over there?
Got the little bit of ginger, a little bit of lemon.
There we go.
You know how I gotta keep it off me. You feel me?
Nah, I can dig it, man. I can dig it, man. Yeah, I got this little Earl Green tea. You know what I'm saying? A little latte situation popping off here.
Oh, you still keeping it nice over there?
Yeah, man. We got to, man. We got to, bro.
I can dig it. I seen you been getting your bacon on too, man.
Oh yeah. Yo, it's been wild therapeutic. Like I get in there, I put me on some Aretha Franklin, some OJs, anything that's like from the 70s on back, and I feel like I'm up in there with my mom, with my grandmother, aunts, getting busy.
Right, catching the vibes for sure.
Catching the vibes, man. Yeah, bro. So we go ahead and get started. I mean, I know I see a bunch of people checking in right now, man. So we appreciate everyone for joining. So, I mean, obviously, Frank, me and you go back probably at this point about 10 years. You know what I mean? About a smooth decade in there.
Yeah.
But for those who don't know you, tell the people who you are, man. And also feel free at any point to drop questions in the comments. And we'll address it kind of as time goes on.
I mean, man, just starting out, man, kind of like always been in art and tattoos. That was always my thing as a kid. And, get my education, starting out at Clark Atlanta University, man. Gotta give a shout out.
One time for the HBCUs?
Yeah, all day. Just growing up, in Delaware and Philly, man, and that region to me was very special. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like all the city blues and all the different stores that we had, man, really shaped the culture. Before streetwear was streetwear, when we had the so-called urban, with the Rockaware and the polos and all the things that kind of shaped what streetwear is today. It was very plentiful in the city of brotherly love, man. You know what I'm saying? So that whole Philadelphia region, Jersey's right there, tri-state area, it was just so many. You can get to New York in 2 hours by train, so it's like, growing up in the East Coast life, man, and like you said, like the music, you know what I mean? The rap, the R&B and soul, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
It all shaped me, but going to Clark Atlanta and kind of, I studied PR, man, public relations. I thought that was gonna be like my jam because I thought that it was just like throwing parties and shit, So I was just like, it was dope. But yeah, after that, during college, I worked at in high school I worked at Foot Locker, but as a sales associate, Foot Action, both of them, Foot Locker and Foot Action. But yeah, man, at Clark, I started working at Wish, man, as a sales associate as well, man, and that was a great time, man. As like the whole team there,
yeah,
like incredible.
That was a special time, man.
Yeah, man. Kim, Mark, and you got, man. List goes on. You got
Marcus at RSVP. He's been holding it down for a minute. Kim, cease and desist.
Right.
Getting her acting flow on.
Yeah, now she getting her acting on. You know, shout out to Wish though. Fonnie, I see you in the building.
What up, though, bro?
That's a major captain there. You know, but like,
Yeah.
you know, that was a special time because I think ATL doesn't really get the credit that it deserves on like the culture that was created there, man. From 40th on crazy parties and having people, you know, like shaping that whole scene where it was like these
Yeah, that's
these
a person to
weirdo
get on for
kids.
me to get on and talk to.
Yeah,
Fadia, man, like those broken
yeah.
bougie parties, man.
Oh my
Like,
God,
and the
like
concerts that she was
insane.
bringing to the city, like, it helped to
Absolutely,
shape the narrative of Atlanta to kind of a lot to
absolutely.
what we know right now.
Yes,
Um, it wasn't just like this crunk music movement that was going on. Like there was something that was bubbling, you know, in like I said, like a little 5 points.
right,
You know what I'm saying? East Atlanta Village, like the places where people weren't really checking for it.
right. You know, and you know, on Peter Street, like those that
Oh, God,
slice,
bro,
you know,
come
that
on.
them nights are magical, man. Like I'm just smiling thinking about them right now. But being on Peter Street and like knowing all that stuff, like, and we around real like so many inspirational people, and I didn't even get to music yet. I'm just talking about like just the vibe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, man.
it was just a special, special time. So like, you know, I'm so grateful for that time. I'm so grateful for the people I've met, you know, and like just to see everybody kind of elevate and just go to the next level, man. Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, man. One more thing I'm gonna touch on
Hmm.
nostalgia purposes before we dive in. Like I
Yeah,
remember, man, you know, the New Era store on Lucky and Cone.
absolutely.
And you know, shout out to Fonz. He was a
Yes.
store manager. He's actually doing some work with us now.
Hmm.
But you know, all the barbecues we used to have on the corner, like
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
like non-regulators, like you know, pull up and we got about 30 pounds of chicken and 40 ounces. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And tequila. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just you know, having a good
Yeah.
time, man. And that was, I mean, it was extremely organic. I mean, this is like early
Yes.
social media way, so
Absolutely.
people still actually had to come outside, you know, and
Right.
engage and have conversations with people, man. And you know, yeah, that was a beautiful time. But let's go ahead and dive in, bro. Like,
Dang, we gotta leave that time because it's like so many, it's so many
well,
good memories, man. So many good things, man.
well,
I
you
mean,
know
shout
what?
out
I
to
mean,
Standard too, like
standard,
Rashad, like you know what I mean. He had BBC season one, like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things. Decatur Dan, like
yeah,
man,
man.
we didn't even get to MJ, like all those parties that we.
MJQs,
Oh my
L
gosh, man!
bar.
Come on, L Bar Thursdays. It's a wrap. Like, but that's the things that like people just, you know, it was different. It was
Yeah.
just different.
I mean, so even as we're talking about like this nostalgic space and like all these
Right.
memories that we're talking about, like this is
Hmm.
like of us being outside,
Right.
right? This is us being out with people
Yeah.
um and actually, as a matter of fact, yeah, appreciate that. Nana, give me one second. I'm about to try to screen record this. Give me. But yeah, but no, man. So like, as we're talking about, you know, all of these experiences of being outside with people, obviously,
Right.
you know, right now, like the context has changed, right? And
Right.
so we're being in space right now with obviously with the coronavirus, everyone having to be inside, right?
Right.
So, you know, I would just say first thing I want to start off with, man, how are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like how are you adapting to this new norm, even if it's just for a period of time?
For me, I think it's cool because now you can see that, you know, I know this sounds kind of cheesy, but like all we really have is each other, right?
Mm,
Think about that. Like you got to depend on another person right now to be safe, to be like, you know, we all are on an equal playing field right now. So it don't matter if you black, you white, you Asian, whatever, you know what I mean? We all have to protect each other right now. And so, I mean, it's just amazing to me. I'm taking it as an amazing time because it's just different. Like to see, you know, some shit like Times Square
shut down.
be shut down, or like the Las Vegas Strip shut down, or like no NBA, no NFL. Like even when 9/11 hit, you know, people were still like working through it because you had sports, you had things that were like familiar to you. Now things are not familiar. So now how are we
Yeah.
going to adjust? You know what I mean?
How
And I
how
kind
how
of
have you
said
been
that.
adjusting?
I said that kind of like months ago. Like, yo, I felt like we're gonna go now. Whether it had been this or something else, like, how are you going to be able to create with less resources?
That's a fact. So,
Right.
like for you, like being an avid storyteller, man, like I mean, your career has. I mean, I remember from the $2 bill Adidas, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, to even the stuff that you used to do with Wale, which I mean, all the way up to the Travis Scotts and the things
Mm-hmm.
that you've been doing, you were doing at Jordan. Like, you know, how, where are you getting inspiration for storytelling at this point?
Oh man. So I rarely watch the news because again, like, it is what it is, man. I'm the type of person that it has to come to my door,
Hmm.
for me to even kind of like deal with it, and I think we're in very real times. I think it's a time right now where reality is kind of blurred, you know what I mean? Like people are taking whatever they hear and kind of processing it, right? For
Yeah.
whatever they want to. So now storytelling to me means more than ever because now people are so in tune and us slowing down, we can kind of appreciate these stories because I feel like um, it was getting kind of oversaturated. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't even keep up with all the storytelling and all the collaborations and all that. This is coming out Saturday, and so it's cool now. So I think like, do release dates even matter
Mm.
anymore? Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of thinking I'm in. Like, what's the new norm? You know what I mean?
What would be like the in a perfect world, what would be the new norm from your vantage point? Because I know like we've had a lot of conversations just about the corporate structures versus like the culture and the people,
Free
right?
with it.
And how there is a disconnect there sometimes because of the idea of commerce and because of the idea of like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, we got to get this money,
Mm-hmm.
without any consideration of the people. So
Right.
how do you think these natural events are like kind of, if they are even shifting the playing field?
Right. It's definitely shaking the playing field. I think people are going to have to be more innovative. Um, I understand the digital world is going to have to rise. For me, I've always been an in-store shopper just because I love,
Mm.
fabrics and materials, and I love the feel and actually see the fit and just the joy of like copping in person. Like you never know who you're going to meet or that human interaction of just going to a brick and mortar store. There's
Yeah.
been times at Wish where people come through and you know they're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and not cop anything. But the joy of just having that conversation and shop talk is what I miss. Like a Saturday, it's nothing like a Saturday when like product is flowing and
Yeah.
everybody's coming through and you still got my size. Like that's what I miss the most about all this. But like I think people will learn to appreciate brick and mortar a little bit more now that this is, what I mean? Like this is happening. Like I know people can't wait to get outside. And some of the things I've said or even thought, like, man, I want to, like, now you appreciate being outside.
Yeah. It's like you don't know what you like now that it's been revoked from us, you
Now
know,
you know what it
now
feels
you
like.
know. Now you know,
Exactly.
man.
I never been incarcerated, but like imagine, you know what I'm saying? Like, shout out to all the people who ever did a bid, man. Like,
Mm.
you know, we got Wi-Fi, internet. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
this, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have this interaction, but imagine like all the people who have been incarcerated and wrongfully so,
Hmm.
and imagine something like this. We had this thing going on, but we don't have like they're not drafting us yet. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or like a war, like there's not bombs flying over your head yet. Like you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to
Nah,
accept
this
the
thing could
good
get crazy real
things.
quick.
Yeah, you got to appreciate the good things that are happening, man. And I think this is going to be the awakening. You know, maybe brands will stop using the same 4 or 5 people and really, really like give the youth. Hey, my cousin Mika in here. Shouts out. One of the best hairstylists in Philly. You heard? But
Hey.
yeah,
Hey.
but like yeah, it's just gonna be different, man. I think again the brands need to now see the youth for what they are
Yeah.
and give these talented kids a chance, man. They use the same 3 4 people, for the past 4 years.
Yeah, man.
Come on.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I was so another one of my good friends, and we're gonna have him on I think on Tuesday. Um
Hmm.
he's from Foot Locker Corporate, and so like he does a lot of the buying over there for the men's department.
Mm.
And one of the things that we were talking about, and we're gonna have this conversation next on Tuesday, is
Shout out,
with.
hold on. Shout out to Alexander John too, man. He is very, very underrated, man. He does his thing for Puma. Like that's my man. He's giving me mad inspiration. So definitely follow him, for sure.
That's what's up, man. But yeah, not like we were just yo, Alex, we need to schedule some time to build and have a
Yeah,
conversation, man.
absolutely,
Let's definitely make that happen, man. Like we
absolutely.
definitely yeah, I'm glad you paused there. Like the idea of study breaks is to be able to help create a space for some of this real life conversation that can't happen outdoors right now.
Right,
You know,
absolutely.
both with creatives, storytellers, and being able to help just give people space to engage and be able to
Hmm.
get some more insight and inspiration. And even honestly, in some cases, marching orders on like, yo, this is how we should be moving forward.
Right.
You know, so yeah, man, Alex, would love to connect with you afterwards, man, and see if we can put something together on the calendar.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
but no, like so me and my boy Nana was talking and just saying like how a lot of brick and mortar stores are taking some crazy hits and a lot of brands
1,000. I don't even know if
that
they'll make it through this.
so brands as well who have most of their stock, you know, their product tied up in brick and mortar. It's like, man,
Hmm.
what is it gonna look like with 2 or 3 months of no money movement?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? And
I
so
mean,
then it brings up the conversation of for independent brands in said
mhm.
cities, like, I mean, it's unfortunate that this is coming at the loss of someone else, but man, like, where there's some opportunities that are also going to be presenting themselves for up and coming brands, independent brands, to be able to capitalize on the shift in the market, man. So like, I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, for me, you got to still support your local. I've been saying this for the longest time, man. The Walters of the world, you got to support those. So like when times like this fall on us, where it's unexpected, you have to,
Yeah,
your local boutiques, you have to still invest in them. Again, I know, the Foot Lockers of the world, and it's nothing wrong with being the big. I get it now. Like I get the whole flow of, product and that whole big beast, right? But like,
yeah,
how do you invest in local? The neighborhood is what counts. You know what I mean? You got to put back into your neighborhood, into
yeah,
the things that the people that you know. I've been saying that for the
yeah,
longest time because now it's going to really show who's going to step it up. Like when we were at Wish, we were one of the first people to ever treat product and do like real like lookbooks. Like
yeah.
we were one of the first shops to ever do that. Shout outs to Alex Malin because he saw the vision. Alex was like, "Yo, we need to
Dilla's
take this and
birthday.
yeah, Jay Dilla's birthday." My man Alex Malin, shouts out. But yeah, and like Mikey, those dudes that were like shooting and like treating this product like, so now it's like you have to be able to bring your situation and your city to the
Hmm.
world,
Yeah,
right? So, my shout out to my friend Joe in Kentucky, man. Like, at Oneness, I'm telling him like, yo, people want to learn about Kentucky now. What's going on? Like now that
yeah,
you see numbers and like you see, okay, this has this many, cases and this many deaths. Like now people are starting to pay attention to the map. Did you notice that?
yeah, yeah,
So I'm taking all these things and being like, hey, like what's happening? Like now you have to click into you. You have to be like, you really have to know your surroundings.
yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah, no, that's
crazy.
a fact. I mean,
Crazy.
and like that's one of the things that I mean, so this maybe it was about like a month or two ago. I know you heard about it, like the big Atlanta streetwear meetup that took place at Be
Yo, that was
Social.
crazy. Yo, I was
Yeah,
so
shout out to Be
like,
Social and James and Ellie and
yeah. Shouts
everyone.
out to my brother James. Like, if there ever was a time I wish I was in Atlanta, it was that night because I could just like looking at pictures and looking at video, I could feel the tension and the heat, and I was like, that shit was almost like I thought y'all was in there with a rap battle or some shit.
Bro, like it was wild because like, you know, a
Richie
lot of us
Rich.
haven't been in the same room. We haven't all been in the same room at the same time like that, you know. So especially in
Hmm.
this age of people having social media personalities and
Right.
you know, like in some instances it was like, oh snap, bro, like I ran into G Rock, haven't seen him in a minute.
Right.
Sean and them from um Sean
Atlanta got
Vincent
sold.
now.
AGF.
Yeah, from Atlanta
Yeah.
got sold. And it was like, yo, like it's great to see all y'all. you know. And then there was some other faces where it was like, not so much. Like there's been bad blood intention that, you know, now that we're in the same room, like we got to deal with that, right? But what I thought what was interesting is that, man, like there's a great opportunity that, like, there's so much culture that gets made here in Atlanta. Fashion is just one of those places that we have not, that has not yet like taken a serious flag in the same way that, you know, I would say like New York, LA, or even Chicago has.
Right.
And like you see like guys like us, Fonny, you see like even what's my man's name?
Destroy.
Yeah, B Stroy, right? Kim and them with cease and desist. Like there are brands that have been doing it, and it's like, yo, we still got to keep pushing that envelope and being able to create some of those narratives and be able to create a space where it's like, yo, like no, like we actually are doing stuff that's important here. Like I think that this downtime is going to be a great space. I know we definitely using it as opportunity, like to create a game plan. Like, yo, how do we continue to push this thing forward so where people just aren't looking at it just for music, but it's like, yo, like there's actually some real culture that's taking place here.
Yeah, Atlanta should have always been considered. You know, Atlanta, minus even the music, like the music is so influential, but it's just like there's never been a time where you could just walk down the street besides in like a Hollywood or like a LA where you can just run into, your favorite artist or your favorite, it's been a mix of people, Ian Connor's from there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like these are like, Atlanta's very plentiful in that way, and it's a melting pot, man. Look at all the promoters, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who brings parties like that where it's Hove and it's, Jeezy and it's, this person and that person all in one room? Like Alex, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like all them dudes that do that, like, who doesn't? And then let's not start on like Coach K and then organically building artists from Migos to, Cardi, whatever, like, organically, like I was talking to him and it's like, it's not like these people were hot and you just signed them. Like you actually showed the world the process.
Right
That's crazy. That's crazy, you know what I mean? So Atlanta needs to always be considered in the conversation and not just Super Bowl where you just come down and we're gonna do a pop-up and do this and we're gonna do we're gonna do a flagship store down the street from my homie. But I mean, you can't just do that and just lead the city. You know what I mean? And Atlanta, is just one of them places where, it is the New York of the South.
Facts. Facts. Yo, I do want to switch gears just for a second.
Okay.
Again, a lot of this. Well, no, I mean, I think it's pretty public what your faith is, right? Being a Christian, and I've seen like over the years. It's funny, like I remember like the first time me and you sat down and talked at Corner Tavern over some tilapia sliders. You know what I'm saying? Like we were initially talking about the brand, but like the conversation went into a completely different direction, as far as faith and how that informs how we create and see business. For you right now, like, how are you doing spiritually, bro?
For me, I think this is a time, a lot of people say, they have faith, you know what I mean? But this is the real time where you got to tap in where you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is when you have to, like, kind of bunker down and not only be a light for yourself, but be a light for others. You know what I'm saying? Like, other people got to feel the vibes and be, encouraged daily. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Robbie Digital, that's a factory. That's a fact right there. Chicago is putting on. But back to what I was saying, it's like you have to keep, your faith intact, your soul intact, and, fear is something it's imaginary, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm not a perfect man by any means, you know what I mean? I got my vices and the things that I kind of, work on, you know what I mean? But it's like, at the end of the day, man, you really gotta consider your heart, man. You really gotta keep your heart protected, your mind and your spirit, and know that the good things in life, man, always come. You're not gonna be perfect, but got to keep a good heart, and really think about others.
Yo, so in that, right?
Absolutely, word is Cashington factory.
Okay. Yeah, like, so what, like for you, like, let's just take like this, because I mean, you've been through a lot from jumping out the window, leaving Wish,
Yeah.
to, you know, you did some work at the Whitaker Group for a second, and
Yes.
then going into
Social
Jordan,
status.
Nike,
Yeah.
so all that, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
How, like, specifically, like, how has, like, you following Christ,
Hmm.
how has that, like, informed, like, the faith that you have, like, in walking through, you know, turbulent times? Because I mean, this is just one of them that we're in right now.
So I'm human. I'm a human being, you know, and I have emotions, and sometimes I wear them on my sleeve, which I try to always fight through. You know what I'm saying? It's been
Mm-hmm.
times where it's been hard, but I always had that. You know, even people like, "Yo, you were on top at Jordan, and why'd you leave?" Or some people say I got fired, which is weird. But you know, I left because things didn't feel right, and I think if you have a feeling of things, you know, I always trust my intuition. You know, and even you know, I did get fired from Wish. You know, and look where that, you know,
You know,
what?
yeah.
That's keeping it a buck. But you know, it was for no reason, and they still
Mm-hmm.
can't give me a reason. But you know, Wish and all that happened, it was for a reason because like I couldn't see it then. I was just like it was my everyday routine. You know, I was seeing all my. You know, I couldn't understand why this is my. I helped build it. You know, these are my people. I don't
Yeah.
understand it. But then something bigger came where out of the blue it's like, hey, you gonna work on special projects for Jordan, like my dream job, like
Yeah.
what? You know. So after that, and you know, when I first got out to Oregon, I had a real bad car crash where I fell asleep. You
Mm.
know, and after that, it was kind of like eye opening to see, like, yo, God is really with me. He really wants me here. He really wants me to be a light for others. So ever since then, I just trusted him, man. Whatever felt right. You know what I mean? And that's just, you know, how I live my life. You know, I always want to keep them good vibrations, keep a smile on my face. And there's some hard days. There's some days where, you know, you're feeling down or you're not feeling yourself or you want to,
Yeah.
you know, kind of be your, like in your own way. And, you know, one thing I did learn from all of this is you can't do it by yourself. You know, I've always tried to
Whew. That
do it by
community.
myself. Like, you know what I mean? I always try to, oh man, I got this, or, you know, I can do. And that's one thing that, you know, I had to learn and grow, you know, knowing that I could not do it by myself.
Yeah.
You know,
How, man, like, yeah, I just want to
Robbie
sit with
Digital.
that for a second, bro. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shouts out to
Man.
Bree.
You said
Bree
what
was
happened?
working. Shouts out to Bree, man. Bree is a, you know, she's a lawyer now. You know what I'm saying? But she helped, you know, build social status, man. You know, nights and nights of and days of working hard, man. Shouts out to Bree.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, man. Shout out to everyone that's been tapping in and who's
Yes, for
been leaving
sure.
messages. Man, like
Oh, Chris is in here. Shout out. Oh man, Chris in here. Shout out to Philly. How you
yeah,
holding up out
man.
there, man? Hope you
Yeah, I mean,
safe out there. Prayers in New York. All
so
my
what we could
family.
do now, like we could definitely have people, if y'all have some questions, go ahead and drop them in. We're gonna kind of keep talking. So yeah, we appreciate all the love of everyone, you know, taking time out of their day, you know, spend both with me and Frank. Like this is, yeah, we don't take this lightly at all, man.
Nah,
Um,
I'm definitely appreciative of all this for sure. Like, I mean, just for us to be able to communicate like this and in these times and people to really tap in, man, it's a blessing.
nah, that's a fact, man. So like, what are you doing? Like, how are you keeping yourself creatively sharp right now?
Man, you know, I said this back in, you know, a little while ago, but man, I've been tapping into like things that are analog,
Mm,
not digital. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as bad yet, but imagine if we didn't have internet, right? So, like, what are the things that used to entertain me when I didn't have internet? You know what I mean? So I'm back to like,
yeah.
you know, vinyl and pogs and puzzles and Legos and you know things
They can
that
start
like
breaking out a
if
200, 300 piece puzzle, man. That's your whole afternoon right there.
yeah, but imagine like if these things weren't available that we have now. Like I lost my phone not too long ago, and I had to figure out how to get a taxi. You know, and just like you know, walk into a business, my man, can I use your phone?
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like those kind of things that I think kids kind of miss out on now. You know, they
hmm
need to it needs to get back to.
That's what's up, man. I know. We saw like the crazy joint that happened with D Nice, and
Yeah.
you know, and just like people. that was the first time in a while that I felt like everyone was like tuned into one thing at the same time. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
it reminded me of like when I was a kid. Like I first moved here from Atlanta from LA,
Mhm.
and we was all like 6 o'clock every single night. Everyone was
Yeah.
listening to Greg Street. You know what I'm
And
saying? Like
remember when Hove told him, get your tapes ready.
get them
You know, when
ready,
you press them
man.
2 joints down and it's just like,
You
oh
got your own
shit.
mixtape. You
Yeah, you
live
get a
now,
little
man.
freestyle going. You know, Cosmic Strictly Skills Kev was mine, like for Power 99. And he would have this come up show on Friday nights, and I would sit there and listen. He would play like Underground Nas and shit from New York, or have a guest in, you know, Philly's Most
Yeah,
Wanted, or like, you know, Beans would be in there. Best of Beans was on, like State Prop. Like, that's the shit that's like, yo, that was like epic moments. You know what I'm saying?
man. Nah, that's a super fact. I know there was a couple questions that just came in here.
Bring back Cooked Up. Oh, yeah, shout
Yo,
out to
what's up with
Mike.
that? What's up? Because I've been on your head about that for a minute,
Uh,
man. What you doing?
Cooked Up was like my joint, but then it, you know, Cooked Up kind of sounded like another brand that's kind of like out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It seemed a little too Pyrex, a little too off white. So, and now my mind was a little different then. Now it's kind of like a expanded. You know, I kind of wanted to be more community based, more, you know, more in depth. So I'm gonna come out with something, but you know, I've always wanted to do a brand, but again, it was so much noise. You know what I'm saying? By the time I
yeah.
left Jordan, imagine all the brands and imagine all the collabs. Like I said, like it's a lot. Shouts out to Zen. Shouts out to they doing some crazy stuff right now, man. They getting the digital thing on lock. You know.
Nice.
Oh gosh, this guy. Nice watch from this guy. But yeah, I mean, what a time to be alive, man. What a
Nah,
time.
that's a fact, man. That's a fact. Yeah, I'm so again. I want to go back.
12, 1. Oh, sorry, I was answering it. 1 o'clock, Scotty. Shouts out my man Scott Fuson. He holds it down at Jordan Brand.
Okay, okay. What's going on, bro? Yeah. Now I want to go back to again just some of the earlier days. Again,
Mm-hmm.
our relationship is spanning at least 10 years at this point.
Right.
You've been around the brand from. I mean, I remember when you was talking about Peter Street.
Mm-hmm.
um, you and Kim were crossing the street, and I was walking around with a duffel bag, and like I stopped y'all in the middle of the
Mm-hmm.
street, like, "Yo, you need to check out Honor Roll," and you
Right.
was like, "Ah, man, nah, I gotta run into the," and I'm like, "Nah, like you gonna love it," and you actually gave me the time to sit down
Right.
and have a conversation with me, and by God's grace, man, it's I think our relationship has expanded past business. Like we talk more personal than we ever do
Mm-hmm.
about product. But for you, like, what has been like you've seen Honor Roll from like its infant stages of just like screen print T-shirts from She and
Mm-hmm.
them to see where we are right now. Like, what are some of the things that you have been like, man, like I'm happy that I've been able to participate or watch within this progress. Like, what are some of the if there was any collection that you particularly liked, that's like you're like this was really dope. Or moments where you're like, I've seen even behind the scenes how y'all press through. Like, what are some of those moments for you, man?
I mean, I think for me, it's always perseverance, right? It's always taking things to the next level, man. Like you said, like starting out with screen print shirts, like down to you doing, you know, varsity jackets, man. Like that's kind
Yeah,
of, you know, and taking that risk and kind of knowing, you know, what you can sell and what you can't, you know, and like you had to buy that product, you know what I'm saying, and have it on deck for people and taking that risk. You know, that's one thing I always admired about you and you know what you do is because I never taken the chance of actually owning my own brand, you know. So it's
yeah,
just like taking that chance is something that is in itself is just like a building tool, you know. Um, and you know, I think the confidence in your design is showing now. You know what I mean? Like you don't really have to ask anymore. Like, hey, does this work or that work? I think you just take your chances on your own, which
yeah.
is a blessing, man. Which is really dope, you
Nah,
know.
I appreciate that. It's wild. I was talking to one of my guys.
Hmm.
This was like maybe a couple weeks ago, and it's I've always seen myself more so in business than in
Right.
fashion.
Hmm.
And it's just been within like the last, I think like the more I've been working with factories, the more
Hmm.
I've been, going to these textile shows and like actually getting my hands in the development of pure product.
Right.
I've taken a step back, like, oh, nigga, you actually really are a designer. Like, you're just
Yeah.
not, this is just isn't a graphic thing. Like, you're constructing things from the ground. And it's like, man, like it was such a sobering moment of like, man, like you have progressed, you know,
Right.
like,
Absolutely.
and man, like that feeling alone, and then on top of that, then being able to put product out, and like you said, like being able to know like what you can and what you can't sell, and
Yeah.
take a look like, yo, like this, like we just dropped the we we just did a history release during February,
Yeah, I saw
and it
that.
was like, yo, like the anti
Mhm.
PWI hoodie that all the pieces that we had were like 100 and up, and that was the first time for us like charging those kind of price points
Mhm.
for product that we developed on our own, and being able to stand behind that and communicate that. It's been like,
Right.
bruh, like let's keep cooking, no pun intended.
No, for sure. And you know, imagine all the kids that had that same dream, you know, and like that's the hard part of it all, right? Is like how do you break through? What are the relationships that you can build? Like, you know, how do you really, you
Man,
know, you know, it's so hard. It took me like a decade to like really get my flow and my stride, like, and all these relationships and breaking through. And, you know, shouts out to, you know, people that gave me a chance, like the Aries of the world and the
yeah.
Dre's and the Hutches, you know, the foundation group, man, you know, they held me
I
down.
just listened to they joint on
Yeah, like
that joint
they
is
let me the
amazing.
hat, that play clothes hat. Without that play clothes hat, I
Yeah.
would not be who I am. So it's like, you know, building those relationships and having trust in others, man, is huge. Um, but what I do want to get to too is like it's some really good questions I saw pop
Yeah,
up, man. I
I was
kind of
just
want to
about
do
to
that
do
Q and
that.
A for
Yeah,
sure.
let me scroll back up. So from flow underscore n underscore
Uh-huh.
motion.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and read them out. Thank y'all
Okay.
for putting this on. Frank Hooker, given the unprecedented situation, do you think
Mhm.
the sneaker corporations will start to see the value of the smaller guys, aka the mom and pop shops? So like the spots like Walters that I know that you be raving about, like, yo, why can't they get these releases? What does that look like for you?
Analog is the new digital, man. You got to go to the people. One thing I want people to know, like from this whole situation, is that now you know that you control the dollar, you control the flow of the economy. So, you know, get behind these smaller brands, these smaller stores, you know,
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh, like these are the people that actually care about me, who care about what I have in my community, who actually, you know, if you think about a Walters, those I mean, come on, those dudes been working there since they were 16 and
Yeah,
they're in their
man.
40s. You know what I'm saying? And he held them down, and he was really part of the community, and they're really a part of us. You know, I mean, you think about all the, you know, I think villas and all them. They got it right where they hire within the neighborhood. You know, it's a
Yeah.
smart thing to do. Shout out to, you
Villa,
know,
that's
Shoe
out of
Palace does the same
PA, right?
thing. Yeah, Shoe Palace on the West Coast does the same thing. They go into neighborhoods where people wouldn't. You know, and so that's what you have to do. You have to, it starts with your community. It starts with the urban dollar, and it's so strong. Urban
Mm,
dollar is so strong. I mean, and there's so many good creatives because we live it. I mean, look at a Joe Freshgoods. He went up against a Jordan and a Nike with a New Balance, and his resold more than the Off Whites.
mm-hmm.
Because you know why? He had the people behind him. It was a great story, great colorway, great materials, and it was authentic, man. It was grassroots.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right. Let's see.
What better? Honestly, I think one of my lowest points of my career was walking into Wish on a Wednesday. I'll never forget it. And the rug was pulled out from under me, like, "Yo, your email doesn't work anymore."
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, "What?" Like I'm just coming off of this great shoe release with Adidas, like, "Oh, it's it." And I really had to cope with that because I was there for like, you know, 10, 12 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. You know, I'm
Yeah.
saying, like it was my baby, but it was gone. So it was like, okay, how do you reset your life because you had this routine, right? I had
Yeah.
this thing that I always thought would be there, it would always, you know, be my baby. You know what I'm saying? But it was just abrupt, and I was just like, okay, this is a low in my career. How will I get out of this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, it took a lot of, you know, talking to you and a lot of, you know, prayer and a lot of, you know, Bible studies and a lot of things that I had to read that like I wasn't
Yeah, man.
alone. Like, you know, even though I was a low point, there's so many. I had my health, I had my son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the same
Shout out,
time, you
shout out to
know,
Taco.
shouts out to Taco
Taco
Supreme. That man's a
Supreme.
he is the jam, man. It's so crazy because I never thought I would learn from a younger person. That
Yeah.
man, I learned so much from him. He's fearless. You know, he's everything to me, man. That's the dude right there. He's next up for sure.
Shout out to you guys, Taco Supreme, man. Yo, Mark, appreciate you joining in. Tell
Yeah.
Fadia we said what's up.
Yes.
And yeah, hopefully we're able to do this with you guys in
Yeah,
the
because
next coming weeks, man.
she shaped the culture, man. Like Fadia,
She doesn't
man.
get
Like
the credit that she
she doesn't get the
deserves.
credit that she
She does
deserves,
not.
man. Like at all. Like the broken bougies. I mean, even like, man, you never know who you would see. And you know what was crazy is like she believed in all of the talent. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
the Tukis of the world, and
Yes.
you know, like we in there in the club, like people ain't know. Like, have you ever made love to a weirdo? Like,
Yeah, man.
she's like believing in this, and it's like so left field, and it's so like it was like so culturally relevant, but not like, you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't with the math. Yes, she is the GOAT for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Man, and just one more thing on Fadia, you know, and then we're gonna move on to some
Hmm.
more of these questions, man. Like I remember again, like very similar scenario with you, like just being out and about. It's like, oh, that's what
Right.
that is. Okay, let me go and talk to this person, and that just
Yeah.
even goes to show you guys who are on here, man. Like you can never get away
Holly
from
weird.
having a conversation with someone and being able to communicate with someone effectively, and actually caring about a person and what they're saying. So, like all
Hmm.
the stuff that me and Frank are talking about right now. This is years of developing real relationships, you know,
Absolutely.
not just,
Absolutely.
you know, what you see on an IG persona, but actually
Yeah,
talking to
nah.
someone and taking an interest. So, you know, and that was, I mean, Fadia, there was a number of instances where like she opened up doors for me to be in certain spaces that under normal circumstances, I just wouldn't be able to get in because I didn't know any of these people. You know, so yeah, shouts out to her,
Oh
man.
yeah, man, Mario. Yeah, that's another thing, man. Like, much love to my man Grip, man. Grip,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
man,
yeah,
it was nothing like his energy, man. I just remember him,
yeah. Rest in
you know,
peace,
this
man.
tall, lanky dude, like, always with a good spirit. And I remember he used to always do this, this high five where he would make his hand because he was so
Yo,
tall.
that's like
He would make it like
Chili.
a
Y'all be doing the same
basketball court.
thing.
He would make it like a basketball court. So he put his hand up. He'd be like, Frank, let me see that dunk. And then you do a dunk on his like on his high five. Like that was the man, man. Rest in peace to my man Grip, man. He's a legend for sure.
That's what's
Um,
up, man.
maybe
All
let's
right.
get back to more of these questions too,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
see
yeah.
some really
So
good joints.
Sid the Gent. I hope I
Hmm.
pronounced that right. For smaller brands, what are your thoughts on wholesale opportunities or staying direct to consumer?
Man, definitely. Right now, you know, this is a time that we're all kind of uncertain, man. But I would definitely do direct to consumer, man, because you know, with kind of terms net 30, you never know how the money's gonna flow in right now. You know what I mean? Like you never know, like you just never know. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
think DTC is kind of like the best. Um, if I'm thinking logically right now, would probably be the best way to go. Yeah,
word.
shouts out to Chili too, man. Legend.
Chili, yo. That was another
Chili,
genuine guy, man, who, you know,
still
when,
is so
yeah.
genuine. I just talked to him the other day. You know, it's like Chili. He always sees further than what people understand. You know, those nights in Sound Table where he's just in your ear telling you dropping gems like
And
that's.
you kind of like, yo, what's my man even talking about? And
But it's
then,
lit. And now he's like,
yeah,
yeah, I've been knowing this stuff that you know in the '90s, brother.
yeah, Homeboy is like one of the most genuine OGs in Atlanta,
Absolutely.
man. And you know, yeah, I need to connect with him again, man, because
Right.
what he did was beautiful. A question that I actually want to take up. Just joined. This is from
Hmm.
World of
Yeah, I
AC.
was reading that too.
Yeah, just joined in as a music artist that wants to work with brands that align with my story.
Hmm.
I'm interested in how artists should approach brand creatives, do's and don'ts.
Um.
Let me tackle this
Okay.
one real quick, and then
Hmm.
I'll tap you in, man. Like, so I've had the experience just with, you know, obviously we're running on road for the last 10 years that there's all artists are always saying like, yo, like I want to do this for you, or like give me some free stuff.
and I'll promote or I'll wear it at my show, right? And so, I mean, on one end, like, yeah, like there is value that you have
That
as an
works.
artist because there's exposure that's there.
Hmm.
But I would encourage you, man, to consider it as just as much as you want someone to treat your art with respect, like treat that other person's brand with the same integrity. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I agree that. Agree
And
with that.
consider like how can this be a win-win? You know, like don't look at it yeah, like bring a plan to that brand. Like, yo, I seen what you were doing with this collection of these designs. These are some things that I'm thinking about for the projects that I'm releasing.
Hmm.
How can we actually leverage each other's platforms? So going to them with the actual plan and not just give me some free stuff like that. I'm always interested in having those conversations.
Well, it depends too, right? Because it depends on what it is. Because I remember, that's kind of how Pink Dolphin became Pink Dolphin. They sending people on
Yeah,
tour, boxes and boxes of stuff, and on tour it gets kind of crazy. So let me throw this jacket on, and then somebody records it. So Pink Dolphin had that product, that seeding marketing
right.
is what pushed them to be like who they were. You got to think about like a Slow Bucks. Remember Slow Bucks? Like it was the same way. You will always see those snail T-shirts everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So I think it goes hand in hand. But again, you do have to align with the brand that makes sense for you. And I think also taking a chance on your own brand. Like look at the
Your own
Trav.
merch development. Yeah.
Yeah, because look at Trav, man. Like, we had pop-ups before Trav was as big as he is now. But, like, even I look back at some of those old T-shirts, like Hell of a Night T-shirts with the crashed Lamborghini on the front. Like, you have to take those risks. And, like, look how big he's gotten. And, like, that right there is a story of authenticity
Yeah.
and him always being loyal to his fans and being loyal to, who he is, man. I remember when he first came to the shop and he did that in-store, man, he was like literally on the ceiling
Yeah.
and kids signing kids' faces and it wasn't a lot of people there, but it was like you could tell how engaged he was.
Yo, they got some questions come. There's two that I want to make sure that we get to.
Mm-hmm.
One is that last one.
Which
Remember
one?
Fly Pelican? Why do you think a brand like that failed? I'll say this, like I don't really want to. I don't know any of those guys personally, Frank. I don't know if you do.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is that, and I'm pretty sure Frank, you would agree with this. One of the you can never get past integrity. Doing good business, like is like you're net. That's always going to be your best go to. You know what I'm saying? And so whenever you find yourself in situations where
Mm-hmm.
you have the opportunity to compromise, but it's at the expense of someone else. Like, you may get a short-term win, but you're
Right.
always going to end up like that's going to come back to haunt you. And just for clarity, that's not saying that that's what happened with that brand. I'm just saying with companies and brands in general,
Well,
lack
also
of
I think
integrity always comes back to get you.
I think brands grow. I think people go in a different direction. There's
Yeah.
business. There's a lot of different things that could happen that can kind of alter, what's going on. And I think, something like a Fly Pelican, is very ahead of its time, in taking those risks, in being like a local brand like that. It took courage to do that, to take it from New York or from any other places and bring that kind of thing down. I don't think that was a fail for them. I think they grew.
Yeah.
That was ahead of his time. I remember Cats was like, "Yo, what's going on?"
And yeah, like that's a good point because like a lot of times, especially as creatives, we think like if the one idea that we start with, if we don't stay at that particular place, then that's a fail. Like learning to pivot is important. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what your initial idea, like you said, you're gonna grow as a human being, you're gonna grow as a business owner, as a creative, and so you got to be willing to pivot and move as needed.
Absolutely. Boyko official.
Yo,
had
that was the next one I was
crazy.
about to get to. I'll let you tackle that one, bro.
You can read it, but I got to think
All
on
right.
it for a second.
All right.
Got to think about the right way to say
to
this.
frame that one.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So shout out to the question from Boy Co-official. Do y'all think brands like Kit and Emmy Leon Dor, yeah, that one, pay homage to the Black culture, or do y'all feel like they're just profiting off our culture?
Uh,
Keep it a buck. Keep it a buck.
so I always keep it a buck. You know what I mean? So first off, with retail, right? Nobody can do it like Ronnie, right? Ronnie is the epitome of a great merchandiser. His brand, um, building a brand, his collaborations, just where he's at in the city. He's in New York, right? So he's in the most, I would say, plentiful, most in tune kind of city in the world, right? Who knows about things. And then you take a Teddy, who's Ame Leon Dure, is just like, ALD is just amazing. Like, he's taken that formula kind of like a polo and taken what streetwear is and kind of elevate what a basic is and elevate materials and elevate. I don't think there's anybody who can curate a space and a feeling like him. Like if you walk in there and there's an old NBA Jordan game playing from NBC and
Yeah.
the Jordan 4s OG that's cracking and the music and the playlist,
Even their
and
social
the
presence
incense,
and how they're able to communicate
right,
that, be it social, without even stepping foot in the store.
right, and the incense and just the whole way that he just brings that whole culture to you. Cats like Moonshine, like Moon with that whole like apartment for B, like setting that whole feeling is what I think Ronnie and Teddy do best.
Yeah.
As far as the culture, I feel like, they definitely have the support of New York. They definitely have the support of a lot of people who, they're at top tier retail, and,
Yeah.
I don't know as far as his community efforts. I can't speak on that, but like, I think you definitely have to tap into the community, whether that's high or low level, you know what I'm saying? Or, you can't forget about the people that are there on a daily,
That's a fact.
But I think that they are definitely the top tier when it comes to, retail for sure.
Nah, that's dope, man.
Mm-hmm.
Want to get another couple more in.
Okay.
PBM, SCG. When your brand gets exposure, what are the necessary steps to keep the momentum?
I think always reinventing, you always have to keep it fresh. People just they get used to something and used to a routine, but you have to always keep it fresh, man. You have to give them new things to think about. Always giving them, the newest, whether that's collaboration or, again, taking a chance on something that people might not be up on,
Yeah.
But I definitely think storytelling and having that cohesiveness of a collection has always proven to work the best.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
Saint Germain. Do you think luxury brands are watering down streetwear? So I want to give a thought and then I'll pass it off to
Okay.
you. I think that even when you start going back to guys like Dapper Dan, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always been this element. I mean, even when we started talking about hip hop in general or R&B, like
Right.
you can't get around the reality that in America, we have played a huge hand in creating culture.
Absolutely.
And then also that
Everything.
you can't, yeah, exact facts. And then also the reality that European Americans have done a very good job historically at taking from cultures of people of color, African Americans, Hispanics, the list goes on and on. So in saying that, I think that what we have seen, it looks like over the last 8 years of luxury brands and some of the things that they have, for some would say hijack from the streetwear culture. I mean, I think that there's a reality that's there, and I think that there's also, you got to give space for people to be inspired, right? So there are things that I get inspired by other brands or by other industries, right? That's not me like taking advantage of them.
Fadia in the building.
You said what happened?
Fadia in the building.
Fadia was happening.
She's in the building. The GOAT.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I think that there's a healthy tension of there's a reality of luxury brands taking advantage and exploiting the actual culture, right? And speaking of culture, African American experiences, people of color experiences, right?
Well,
Go ahead.
there's a balance, right?
Right. There is a balance to that.
Because there's a balance of, as kings and queens naturally, we like luxury things, right? And
Right.
so Dapper Dan tapped into the fabrics that he used and the names, the Louis Vuittons, the Gucci's. He knew the silhouettes that
Hmm.
people loved in the hood,
Yeah.
but Gucci and Louis, they just weren't producing it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so he found a way to tap into, again, entertainment, and he tugged at the heartstrings of people in the hood.
Yeah.
And for me, I think with the whole streetwear and luxury thing right now, as it is, shouts out to Virgil, being in the position that he's in, bringing his street, kind of influence into it. But to me, I focus more on the front row at the shows, right?
Mm.
Because you look up and you see a Bari at Dior, or you see all these people like the Kanye's, like how hard it was probably 10, 12 years ago for Kanye to get into a Louis Vuitton show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He couldn't just walk into a Louis Vuitton show. It wasn't happening like that. So the fact that they see us now, but they have to do it in the right way to pay homage, and they also have to give us credit for what we do. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And what we bring to the table. Because again, a lot of times what we can get caught up in is like celebrating these brands or marketing these brands
Hmm.
for a seating kit. Like, no, you should get paid because it's marketing. You know what I mean? And you would charge your mans if you had to wear
Yo,
a shirt,
how has that been
but
for
you
you?
wouldn't
Because
charge
like
Louis Vuitton.
you operate in space a lot, right? Like,
Yeah.
so how? And I know just what's your time like? 'Cause I know we come on an hour. You got like
It's all
another
good.
10.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. How have you navigated those waters of being fairly compensated for your intellectual property and your ideas with some of these other bigger brands?
I think right now I'm in a different kind of state, right? Because I had so much experience, one at retail, one
Hmm.
at kind of like owning a brand, right? And then kind of like working for a big corporation, right? So I've seen
Yeah.
the whole kind of gambit, like, from wholesale to retail, from idea to retail, you know what I mean? Design to retail. So now I know how everything pretty much works from wholesale to retail, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the intellectual property to me, I know people, they get paid for it and all, but like if I can inspire the next kid.
What better?
Sup. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Appreciate everyone checking back in. There's a yo
Don't worry, we back.
back. Yo, I didn't realize that it cuts off after hours. So this is what D Nice was going through.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we back we had a fresh hour. We got a fresh
There
one.
we
But
go.
my whole thing is like, back on that is just like,
Hold on, real quick. Hey, yo, if your question didn't get answered yet, do us a favor and go ahead and repost it in there because they've all kind of
yeah,
gone. The questions disappeared. So, old questions, new questions, go ahead and drop it in.
that's all good. Where's Shep?
Chef Boogie in there.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, the compensation, if the next man can or woman, they can get their ideas out and get compensation for it, I'm down for the intellectual property. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's tons of sneakers that I made millions, but it was the experience of it all and knowing the learning process and the learning curve, that kind of that was a currency to me. That's just kind of good dude I am. Like, money's cool and all, but it gives you options. It's not everything. It just gives you options.
Yeah. Change is cool to cop, but more important is lawyer fees.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Your freedom, your state of mind is power to me.
That's what's up, man. Like, and one man, I think like what's so important about
Shout
what you
out to
just
Emily.
were. I think
Yeah, this
one of
is
the things that
definitely
was so
strong.
important about what you just said was that like there's a reality that none of us are ever going to really be paid what we're worth. Like our personal value like extends so much past a dollar sign. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there are other ways for us to be enriched past a check. Now that doesn't mean that we should start doing stuff for free, but it is to say that especially like I said, like that progress from you starting out as a sales associate at Wish and then going through all these different transitions and changes, like you just didn't end up where you're at right now on accident. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you were willing to go through that process, and so like that, while people are still joining in and some questions are still coming in, like one of the last things I want to ask you, like just like for this season of life that you're in right now, like
Mm-hmm.
both personally and creative, like what does the process of excellence look like for this season of life for you?
For where I am today, excellence looks like the youth and for minorities to actually have their voices be heard and creativity to be seen. That's what excellence looks like to me. Like if I am in this position just for me, what am I
Yeah.
actually doing? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't, be designing shoes and doing all this, and if I'm not breaking down barriers for other kids to come in with their face tattooed or their head tattooed or look like me, then what am I actually doing?
That's a
And that's
fact.
excellence to me. You know what I'm saying? For
That's
sure.
dope, man. That's dope, man. Yeah, man. I mean, we still people are still coming in and joining,
It's
man. So
cool.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
yo, like, what do you? I know I asked you a ton of questions, so
Mm-hmm.
while people are still joining in and asking questions, do you
I
got
got TJ in
anything?
here.
Yeah.
Shout out to TJ. Okay.
Let me see. Yo, it's Air Max Day as well, right?
Oh, it is Air Max Day, huh?
Yeah. What do you is there a favorite Air Max that you got to as a go to?
I love Air Max Ones. I don't wear them as often, but I love Air Max Ones. I think I remember that first release of the Air Max One that had that Vault tooling that came out
Mm-hmm.
that first Air Max Day. I think that was like one of the best executions. I remember how that was the first time somebody ever tracked a FedEx package to Wish. Like this dude was like,
Word.
"That's it. It's actually in that truck right there," and I was like, "Oh shit, this man is on it." I like the energy that Air Max Day brings. I kind of think it's watered down right now, just because. I mean, I think right now this is like one of the toughest ones, of course, because you have to be engaged in it. But I mean,
Right.
think about how Air has really changed the game. Like Air is everything to sneakers, man, and it's like so innovative and it's so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's definitely a day to be celebrated. I've always liked 10/18. I'm biased because October 18th I think should be a Jordan Day, but that's just me. You know what I mean? I think they should celebrate that one day. But yeah, man, shouts out to Ticker and just that innovation is forever, and he's the true GOAT, man. You know what I mean? Him. Also, if y'all don't know about Wilson Smith, man, like a black designer who did all the Agassi shoes, the Jordan
Mm.
16, the Jordan 17, the Air More. These are shoes that he's made, man, and they're just amazing. I mean, E. Scott, man, like he did the Shark and a lot of cleated stuff, man. He's a
Yeah.
legend. He did a bunch of the stuff with like Emmett Smith. Like
Yeah.
you got to look up these black designers, man, that sneaker designers that have been killing it. Like my brother Jay May,
Yo, what are
Jason
some black
Maiden.
designers that if people don't know about, like, yeah, list a couple of those off that people
Yeah, E.
you would
Scott,
encourage people to do their homework.
Jason Maiden, man, the list goes on, man. Shoot, like I said, Wilson, like he just is amazing, man. Like I love all his Agassi projects. Like doing all that is crazy to me, and like I think he's right up there with Tinker, but I don't know if people actually know that.
Word.
Joe Fresh
Joe
good. Shout
Fresh,
out.
yes, Joe
Yeah.
Fresh.
See, you know the thing about Joe, we carried him in Wish when it was Dope Boy Magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I mean the authentic stories that he told. I remember one of these pieces that he had. Remember that sweatsuit we had where it had everything, like all the different brands on one? Like I
yeah,
think that he kind of mastered that a little bit earlier than a lot of people, and his storytelling is amazing. And he doesn't give a fuck. Like
yeah,
that's what I love about him most. He believes in everything that he does to the fullest extent, and he has the people behind him because the stories are so real. You
yeah,
know, he made that switch up. He had some stuff coming out with Adidas, and then he's just switched it up and showed you a pinky ring from New Balance. Like, and then it got it popping in his own city. And shouts out to like Vic Lloyd
yeah.
and leaders and Corey and Rello and the culture that Chicago brings. Like that's like my second home, and I owe them so much
Bruh,
because Corey
Chicago.
taking the chance to be Corey Gilkey to and Jeff and Al and Zoe and man Vel, all them dudes out there, man. Those dudes are like legends in retail,
Yeah,
and I pay them so much homage, man, because they inspire me so much. Chicago just, I
yo,
mean, it's so rich in soul, it's so rich in music, it's so rich in culture that Chicago is
2000,
it.
2007, I think. So my pops, he's originally from Chicago, right?
Uh huh.
And I went up there for Christmas in 2007. Shout out my boy D Win. He just popped in.
Hmm.
Um, seeing like Sir, I know you're familiar like with Sir and Madam and Brian
Yeah,
and
of
them over
course,
there.
of
Like
course.
I remember that Christmas.
RSVP.
Ours, all of that, man. Like, and specifically at that period of time, I mean, again, this is when street culture was still like a bubbling thing, like in the neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? And going to Chicago and being at those parties, being at the boutiques, like I said, like
Mm-hmm.
leaders. I mean, there was a ton of joints where it was just like, yeah, like there was so much culture that was happening there. And
Amazing.
the energy in Chicago was what inspired me to start Honor Roll. Like the stories that people were telling just by the lifestyle alone,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, yo, I gotta figure out a way how to do this. And I still think Chicago doesn't get the credit that they
It
deserve,
deserves.
man. Like
Yeah.
Chicago, man, they influence a lot.
Yeah, Easy. He has his own gallery now, like art gallery, and he's dabbling in that. So it's just like, I mean, Don. List goes on, man. There's so much inspiration, man. I just remember going to, like you said, those parties, and my man Vic used to throw a Sunday night, and to see him with his shirt off up there, like rocking on a Sunday night was just amazing to me. Like Chicago is one of those places where if you're authentic and you stay in your lane and you are who you are, they rock with you, man. And
Right.
I appreciate that. It's like a second home to me because, again, it's so rich, and I'm so thankful for those guys. Like I said, like the success and all that. Like
St. Alfred's.
St. Alfred's, like shouts out to Dave. Like you know what I mean? Like he kills it. Like they have like that whole Japan based buy that people wasn't really on. It's crazy.
That's what's up, man. Yo,
Yeah, man.
real quick, I know we about 10 minutes over. Does anyone got any last questions for myself, for Frank, or just for the conversation before we tap out? Like we'll give a couple minutes to kind of let those flow in. But while we're waiting on that, I do just want to say, man, how much I appreciate you.
Oh no, I appreciate you, man, for sure. This was fun. This is my first time actually on live.
Word.
Like, I never went live before.
Likewise.
I never.
And I think like it's a great opportunity, like I said, like just to be able to engage people. I mean, like what we were doing every quarter was a fashion business panel called Closed Minded, where we were having people come and kind of talk about their experiences, within the industry, and to give creatives in the city just some insight. And so clearly we can't do that anymore, or at least for the foreseeable future. So we wanted to create a opportunity
Platform.
to be able to do some of this. So like, we'll be, hopefully we'll be able to circle back around with you at another point. Hopefully we'll be able to bring Fadi in. We got one of my guys from Foot Locker who's going to be chiming in. We got some people from the Whitaker group who are going to be chiming in as well. You know what I mean? So Yeah. So all right, cool. We got a few more questions that just came in.
Could Frank elaborate
Um,
on feeling of achieving that dream job with Jordan, but later making the decision to leave it? What brought the change? Huh. I'll touch on that one. For me, Jordan was a blessing, man. Like you said, like a dream job. I remember my man Gmo was like, "Yo, I went in there as a part-time employee, so I wasn't a full-time employee." And he was like, "Yo, you got 6 months, to turn up, and then we'll make a decision." So I'm like, "Okay." But when Gmo was just like, "Hey, they have these things called CADs, which are like blank." Silhouettes of all the Jordans like on the computer screen, and I wasn't like the best in either Photoshop or Illustrator, but I had to learn more. I don't know all the shortcuts. Shouts out to my man Izzy, who's like a wizard on that joint. Izzy is like a master on color and just all around talent, right? But for me, when Gmo was like, "Yo, you got this thing called a look-see, and you can get samples," and I was just like, "So you mean I can color up any Jordan and get it back in 6 to 8 weeks? A sample?" So then I just,
that's crazy.
for me, it was just like locking in. I was just like, "Yo, I'm gonna lock in. Like, I can make this, and this should have come back. So this is crazy." So I just started like that Kanye, like what he said, like yourself in the room doing 5 beats a day for 3 summers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just locked in on that. But for me, where it kind of got difficult, if I could be perfectly candid or honest here, is just like the navigation through the matrix of it all. You know what I mean? Like
When you say the Matrix, what do you mean the Matrix?
I mean, just navigating in corporate life. I'm coming from the boutique life where, some of those Vegas trips or like, where you get these authentic stories because it is so off the cuff or it is so raw. It's so, and it's a certain kind of way that you have to handle yourself within corporate. And I don't know if, the things that you necessarily see kind of how can I say it?
Translates.
If it kind of translates to how you should navigate, right? So the thing that you brought me in for is the thing that you could, possibly not like, and so it's different for me. There's some things where, I thought
It's like I want you to have a seat at the table. Able to bring your ideas, but then what happens? Ideas start bumping up against our corporate sensibility.
Perfect way to put it. You know what I mean? And I'm not mad at that. I don't think but it's a way to navigate. And so like just as I left, now I can see, because like my head was down. Now I can see this kind of more aerial view of the industry and how it works.
Yeah.
And like I was a kid just in there, excited to be there. Would I do some things differently? Absolutely. It's some things like, leaking shoes to me wasn't for me to get the clout. It was for me to say, I love, hey, when I get a response, like, hey, these are trash. So if the people are saying that they're trash,
it's a heat check.
Why would I make them?
It's a good heat check to see.
It's a heat check. So I'm not leaking shoes for my own clout, or I'm not leaking shoes to, be the man in sneakers because, I've always had sneakers. I've always loved the culture, and I'm always going to be a part of the culture no matter what brand I'm at, But it's just like at the end of the day, these are practices that I had to think like, okay, damn, you can't leak a shoe because this is $1 billion company. You know what I'm saying? So it's some things that I would have done differently. But again, the hardest thing was kind of navigation and also mentorship, reaching out. Like, once you make it to the top, are you really helping people that's below you?
Let's talk about that real quick. Like that mentor-mentee relationship in the industry. I mean, that was one of the things that came up at the Atlanta streetwear meetup situation, right? Was it felt like that there was a disconnect between people who specifically from like Atlanta had made it and their willingness to come back and actually support and give out like real opportunities and real looks to people within the city. And I'm of the belief that, at the end of the day, you can't depend on anyone else to get you hot. Like you got to do the work yourself. And then also what's true is man, no one ever gets to this ideal place of success on their own. Like you talked about earlier, like, it takes a community. What has been
Absolutely.
your experiences like with mentorship? And then even for you, like, how do you feel like you've been able to engage other young designers and creators
Yeah,
to help
nah.
develop them?
I mean, this right here alone, like what we're doing now, is like one of the things that
Yeah,
that I always want to be able to do. Like I don't always have to be on a hype beast or a high snob to get my point across. For me, this is like grassroots. This is what it is. And when it came to mentorship, like I've had some mentors, like my uncle Larry. Like he was very instrumental in my career and next steps, and telling me how to kind of have this kind of poise, right?
yeah,
Not wearing my heart on my sleeve and getting so passionate about what I'm passionate about. I think the hardest part about it in the matrix and navigating too is like, how do people that don't live it tell you about you? Like, let that sink in a little bit. Like, we talking about marketing in the city, you sending people out to visit the city to see what's hot, but I live it.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's the hardest part about it all too. It's like how do they tell you about you in
yeah,
marketing? And so again, um, I feel like a corporate job is very necessary just for you to know, how things work and how the world works. But it's different, man. A lot of people say you just got to play the game, but like, how do you play the game? There's no rules,
yeah.
right?
Yo, one thing I think that is, I want to highlight this.
Mm-hmm.
Mar YGW Frank. Sometimes I feel like you're my virtual mentor.
Mm-hmm.
You drop so many gems on your stories, and I truly appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think,
Oh, Danny Charman's in the building too. Shouts out. Man, Danny is like, she's just the ultimate mom, the ultimate creative. Style is impeccable. Like she's it. So shouts out to Danny. Shouts out to Isaiah. Man, great people there.
that's what's up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nah. I just wanted to read that to make sure that you got your flowers, man.
No, for sure, for sure. I appreciate that, man. For real, Mar. Like, and that's what it's kind of all about, man. Like, I'm taking these experiences and I'm trying to get the comment thing down. Okay, there we go. I said hi. I had to say hi. It's taking these experiences and just, again, just making sure that everybody knows, like, if I had to take those bullets, at, corporate and like take those arrows, I will for this culture. Because I think
Yeah,
that, it's so many talented people that just don't get recognized. Or again, so many people hit me up like, yo, Frank, I have a resume and I have this and like, learn how to resume build. And it's like a little bit more like, a lot of times they post jobs, but those jobs get like to people in internal first. So
yeah,
like it's hard. Shouts out to Free. Oh man, Bart in here too. It can get interesting. Shouts out to Bart. Shouts out to my man Free, man. He's just an OG with that art, that art mind, man. He was on there a long time ago. Shouts out to my man. I mean, what he's done in the sneaker industry, and he built and one. He's the
yes.
one that initially did and one mixtape. Shouts out. You know what I mean? Shouts out
Yeah,
to Free.
yeah.
Shouts
Shout
out
out
to
to Bar
Bart.
as well. Like, he had me on the Dash Radio show when we did the release back in
Yeah.
February. And those dudes,
You know
him,
why I love
KO,
Bart?
like, they showed mad love, super
KO's the
love.
man too. You know why I
Yo,
love Bart? Bart is a no man. Bart will tell you when shit is trash, when you're trash, when anything is trash. I love Bart because that's the true temperature check. Because if he think it's wet, it 9 times out of 10 it probably is.
yeah, my man kept it like, and you say, like, like being around like me and Shep and
No
Chris,
filter
we
whatsoever.
yeah, like, we try to keep it as honest as possible. And like, that was just like super refreshing being able to go to that show. And like, we were specifically talking about the hoodie that we just did, the anti PWI joint. I know me and you had a conversation about that, and just like the level of candor that was on that show, man,
Right.
Yeah, it was dope. Yo, Bart, do me a favor in the comment section, drop your IG link to your show so people could to know to check that out on Thursdays.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out when I'm back in the A for sure. I definitely
Yeah,
want to
man. Nah, it was a
do
dope
that.
experience, man. Let me see who else we got here. Vision to get. Oh, what was my man Picasso? Where's the joint at? Oh yeah, Picasso_J. He sounds like a young kid, so definitely want to
Hmm.
make sure we got his question answered. What is some advice a 19-year-old aspiring to be part of the marketing consulting industry with fashion brands and just
Hmm.
gaining some experiences at such a early stage in the game?
I think for me, the biggest part, I had that blessing of being a buyer. So, you like a lot of the shows, like Magic and getting to know my friends who were other buyers and store owners, and just seeing what they're doing, and really building the relationships. I can't stress that enough. The relationships, man. I wouldn't be where
Can't get
I
around
am
that,
today
man.
if it wasn't for those, and people helping me out with that. So it's it's definitely building relationships. And my boy Easy always told me something, man. Pull up.
Bro,
Like if something's going on,
you
pull
took the
up.
thought right out of my head.
Yeah, man. Like
I
my
know like a
my man
lot of the
Easy told me that
relationships.
like if you're not getting it done if you're not pulling up, man. So I think
Yeah.
that's one heavy thing that you should do. Definitely if you have the chance, it's a blessing to be able to go to Paris if you can, or back when you've been there when Vegas was Vegas, man. Like shit,
Yes.
like and I think like Complex Con doesn't get enough props, man. Like I've never
Yeah.
been to a place where you could just pull up on Nigo, Pharrell, Offset, any any of these people, a Travis Scott is walking around, or like, I've never been to something like that. So I think, I don't think Complex Con gets enough credit, and people like worry a lot about the releases and what's happening there. And I think once Nike pulled out, people were just like kind of over it, or like. But the best one to me was like Chicago because it was like people were actually copping
Yeah.
and really like being into the art and being into it. That's one of the best ones I've ever been to was Chicago for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, pull up, man. That's all I can say. Good relationships and pull up. Frank,
Yo,
been rocking with your wave since you sold me the hundreds fitted at Wish and genuine convo when I came back for that play closing Wish New Era. Oh man, thank you so much, man. Like those were the golden days, man, where that was true underground streetwear. It was a amazing time, man, and I appreciate the love. And you even like we talking about a hat, man, and like
yeah.
that hat had that opportunity was I'm so thankful. Shouts out again to Dre, Ari, Hutch, that whole foundation group. Like those people inspire me so much. Jordan and all those dudes, man. I'm just super thankful.
Yo, one more thing to Picasso J, and this is to Frank's point.
Jason
Like,
too.
you have to be willing to invest in yourself, and
Yeah.
that sometimes it's gonna look like time and even dollars, and go on places where you may not necessarily have an end. Right. So what Frank was talking about initially was, I would go to to Magic trade show back in like the 2010 2011, and
Hmm.
I would go and just walk the floor. Now in that instance, it worked out because Frank was able to give me a pass to get in. But sometimes, like, there's been a number of shows that I've gone to, specifically textile shows, to where like not
Hmm.
like I'm financing my whole situation, right? So,
Right.
and that had everything to do with me enriching myself. Like, I wasn't waiting for anyone else to give me a pass. Like, I was going to do this and utilize whatever resources I have.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
specifically for you, bro, I want you to take a look at Ad Color Conference, as well as Culture Con. I know that these are both conferences that take place, and they're probably gonna be rolling out some digital stuff. So being willing to even see if you can volunteer and intern at some of these places,
Mhm.
like those are
And
those are opportunities, man. That while you're young, you have the space to kind of to live through. So
yeah, absolutely.
I would encourage you to do that, man. Like, figure out a way to make yourself useful in those particular spaces.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Man, this has been a blessing. Like again, so many people, so many influential people have came through to this session, man, and I'm just super thankful, man. You know, again, I think this is a wonderful opportunity, man, and I appreciate you even, you know, considering me on this, you know. And again, I guess the last few words, man, is just like to all the people that's like in this room, like right now we're going through something very hard, very different,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And right now is the time to innovate. It's the time
Yeah.
to believe in yourself. If you never did something that you wanted to do, I say do it, because again, you know, right now we on punishment for something we ain't even do.
He was on a
We going to
permanent
be for
lockdown
a
saying
crime
like,
you
do
ain't even
not come out the
commit.
room.
And nobody knew that would ever happen, you know. So
Yeah.
now, you know, Lord willing, we all make it out of here safe. We all make it out of here healthy, you know. And then when we're on the other side, man, learn to appreciate those around you. Appreciate, um, all the moments, and most of all, believe in yourself.
Yeah.
If no one else, you know, believe in who you can be. Believe in any idea that you want to do it, because like I said, tomorrow's not promised, and we never thought we would be in this situation again. I am happy to be in these times. I am excited to be in these times. What a time to be alive,
What
whether
a
it's good,
time.
or it's bad. What a time to be alive. I never thought in my, 33, 34 years of living would I ever see Times Square with nobody in it in the middle of the day, or the Vegas Strip shut down. I think that is crazy. But
Yeah.
again, I'm thankful for it all. I know we'll get through this. We'll all be better in the end. And wait till you see the
Afterwards.
oh my goodness,
It's
people
gonna
gonna
be
come out here chopping heads
crazy.
off. You feel
This
me?
is the
People gonna
time
be
to be
coming out
cooking
here.
up and putting that plan together, man.
What? People
Because when
gonna come
people
out
start coming
here.
outside,
I'm so excited to
come on.
see what people have in store. It's gonna
Don't
be
let this
crazy.
time, like, don't just veg out on Netflix and just be sleeping all day. Like, this is the
Absolutely.
opportunity and the
This is when
time to
you
get
become
busy.
creative. And all I'm
This is
saying is,
it.
big corporations, please don't sleep on these peoples, man, because they
Yeah.
coming for it. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yo, we got some, I know, like, just for honor roll, man, we got some heat that coming off of the last release, man, that we have been cooking up. And it's like, oh, we got to put that on ice right now? No problem. Like, we got some fire that's loaded up in the chamber, man. So,
absolutely,
yeah, man,
absolutely
for everyone that's attended today, man, we really appreciate y'all coming through and asking
such a
questions.
blessing, man. I'm so thankful.
Absolutely,
So
bro.
thankful.
We thank you for cutting out time of your day, man.
No,
Just
no
so
problem.
everyone knows, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, for the foreseeable future. So definitely, tap in with us. If there's someone who you would love for us to connect with, definitely, DM us. Yeah, man. Much love to you guys. God bless everyone. We pray that
Yeah,
everyone is
man.
safe and health, with your families.
Absolutely. Stay
Yeah,
prayed
man.
up.
Y'all be cool,
And
man.
also,
Take care.
man, I'm looking forward to seeing like your next, whoever's on here next. And man, this is such a blessing, man. And I appreciate you inspiring the people and giving them something to look forward to, man, for sure.
No doubt, man. I appreciate
All right,
that,
brother.
man. Much
Much
love.
love,
Y'all be
man.
cool.
Much
We'll see
love
y'all
to
next week,
everybody.
man. All
Yeah.
right.